Sometimes we can disagree and still be friends, and other times you're just wrong.
In this bookish community, we often find ourselves with bookish acquaintances, bookish besties, and bookish frenemies. I don't think any of us are actually enemies on here. And my beloved bookish frenemy is Scott from the channel Gunpowder Fiction and Plot. It is almost comical how often we disagree and how different we approach books. And our disagreements tend to really be they're very polarizing. A book that he often hates will be my best book of the year, and a book that he loves, I'll have DNF'd because I cannot stand it. And this relationship is pretty well known here on Booktube. If you didn't know it, then you can enjoy the fact that we are very different. And I thought I would highlight our relationship today. So we're going to talk about it with, actually I'll let Scott introduce it, but just before we get into that, my name is Shelly. I love books and reading. I am just a huge fan. I'm a huge fan and I love Booktube, and this kind of video helps me sort of merge both the loves, my love for Booktube and my love for books and talking about books. So yeah, anyways, if you're not yet subscribed, maybe subscribe, maybe like the video. Perhaps leave a comment if you feel compelled to do so. If you don't feel comfortable leaving a comment, maybe an emoji. Just let me know that you're here. Without any further rambling on, let's go ahead and get into the meat of this video. Let me have Scott introduce the list that we're going to be talking about today because he introduces it better than I do.
Recently, Radio National, Australia's national radio station, released the top 100 books of the 21st century, and I thought it'd be really cool to go through what those 100 books were. Now, this wasn't done by a bunch of book critics or authors or anything like that. It was voted on by the public.
What do Aussies think are the best 100 books of the 21st century? This type of list has gotten popular after the New York Times came out with their list last year, and so we're seeing different versions pop up here, there, and everywhere, and now Australia has theirs, and Scott's an Aussie, if you couldn't tell by his accent. So he also goes into bookish opinions, which is our first and one of our major disagreements, I think. Here's what he has to say.
By the way, I'm going to tell you exactly what I think about these books. I do it in every video, but I want you to know I don't think there's any such thing as a bad book. There's only bad matches between books and readers. So you're welcome to disagree with me all you want, that's fine. We just look for different things in books.
I completely and utterly disagree with that statement. There is such a thing as a good book and a bad book. There is poor writing, poor grammar, poor development of the plot, not respecting your readers, condescension in writing, flat characters. Bad books exist, y'all. Bad books exist. Does it mean that not a good reader, but does it mean a reader can like a bad book? Of course. Of course. Does it mean a reader can dislike a good or a well-written book? Yes, absolutely. But there is such thing as a good book and a bad book. We're just clarifying right there. I'm only going to talk about the books that I've actually personally read from this list. If you want to see the whole Aussie list, I will leave Scott's video linked down below, but I'm only going to be commenting on the books that I have read.
At 99 is Middlesex by Jeffrey Eugenides. I really enjoy seeing this book on the list because I think Eugenides is such a great storyteller. It's a really well-rounded book in terms of themes and storylines and plot and characters and all these things coming together to make a really good novel. It does get a little bit of criticism for its clumsy handling of intersex people. It's definitely, I think it's quite progressive for the time it was written in, but maybe hasn't aged that well.
I read this, I believe, in 2020, and there is not tension yet. I guess there has been tension because I disagreed with his approach to even liking and disliking books. So I guess fundamentally, I just disagree with Scott. However, with Middlesex, I do enjoy this book. It is a multi-generational family saga that is split up into 4 parts. I think it's split up into 4 major sections, maybe 5. And in the first section, we're following the grandparents that immigrate from Smyrnos to the United States. And, you know, there is a really epic scene of the burning of Smyrnos, I believe. I think I'm getting that name correct. It's been a while since I've read this. And so we see their immigration getting set up in America, you know, having their children. And in each section, you know, we jump several decades in the future and get more context for this family and ultimately the person that is telling the story, who is an intersex person. And it's fascinating. It's a great read. I don't know. I mean, I think it aged fine, but I don't know. Things change so rapidly. It's been 5 years since I've read it. I've read a lot since then. Maybe my opinion has changed, but so far so good, Scott. We are agreeing.
Tom Lake by Anne Patchett. Not a big fan of Anne Patchett myself. Not a bad writer. I just find her a little bit slow and not quite for me. She doesn't do it for me. A bit surprised to see Tom Lake make the list. I'd say that might be, you know, a little bit of recency bias because it's only been out for a couple of years. I'd say if this was done in 5 years' time, it's not getting anywhere near this list.
Okay, well, valid. Anne Patchett doesn't do it for you. Tom Lake is a great book, okay? Tom Lake is a great book. It is about a woman who plays a pivotal role in a play that I have not read. She plays Emily in Our Town by Thornton Wilder as a young person. And there's this summer where she gets a job playing this role, and she has a relationship with somebody who is not yet famous but ends up becoming like the Bruno Mars of that generation in that world. And we get this woman telling the story when she is a mother and has a lot of life behind her, and she's reminiscing and giving, being very, in no way message heavy, but she's giving advice and context to her daughters who are about the age in which she is revisiting in her memory. It's also during the COVID-19 pandemic. We see how she changes. I think this book is really well done and very brilliant. Totally valid that she doesn't do it for you, but it's objectively a good book, okay?
95 Piranesi by Susanna Clarke. Look, I said sometimes there are good books that don't work for readers, and this is definitely a book that doesn't work for me. It's a bit fantastical, but actually it's quite dull and boring and predictable, and like the mystery element of it where there's like literally nobody else that it could be, and I don't get what people get out of this book.
What? Okay. Wow. I gathered these clips a while ago, so I don't remember what Scott said. And some of these clips I have not watched at all. So I wasn't quite expecting that. Piranesi is a brilliant book that is all about the setting. I will say it's a very polarizing book. Okay. There are some people who read the first 3 pages and they're like, I can't stand it. But it's a genius book by a genius author. There's this magic system, this fantastical magical system that is so gentle and rooted in our world. It's so good. And the mystery is great. I will give that, maybe, you know, it's not unpredictable. I mean, it's not unknowably not predictable. Like, I could see some people predicting the outcome, but it was also very surprising. I found it surprising. I found the twist surprising. Maybe that says more about me as a reader than not. To say it's boring. How dare you? How dare you? Okay. I'm going to calm down from that one.
Cloud Atlas by David Mitchell. I will never understand the love for Cloud Atlas. It is just a bunch of short stories that he got bored of writing and then decided, well, he better finish them off, but he decided to start them, stop them, start another one, stop another one, and then finish them all off together. Yeah, jack of all trades, master of none, and Jack's a bit generous. I'd probably say more of a 3 of clubs.
3 of clubs for David Mitchell's Cloud Atlas? No. You are just not seeing the brilliance in this book, Scott, okay? You are not seeing the brilliance in this book. So I believe there are either 5 or 6 short stories, yes. and they do cut off at a certain way. You know, maybe 6, 7. my younger son's like this. There's 6 or 7, 6, 7. Okay, we're getting off track. Okay. There are several short stories in this, but they're definitely building to something. And that something is so satisfying and so amazing. And then so you get all, I don't know how to explain it. You get one short story that sort of cuts off, and then you get this second short story that cuts off in the middle, and another short story that cuts off in the middle. And you get to like the penultimate story in the middle that you read all the way through, and then you go backwards, and then the final story is the second half of the first story that you visited. But they're all interconnected and brilliantly done. It's very subtle. Maybe you don't like subtle literature, Scott. I say that lovingly.
Where is the Green Sheep by Mem Fox? This is a children's book. It's quite rhymey and I quite enjoy it. Mem Fox is probably better known for Possum Magic, but I think that that's probably too old to make this list.
Where is the Green Sheep is a picture book that I have read to probably hundreds of little children. And actually, when I was as I was slicing up Scott's video, I remembered this book, and I pulled it up to read it, or I pulled it out to read it to one of my classes, and I was able to read it to children again, and it hits. It's such a sweet, sort of silly, nonsensical-esque type book. It's really a charming thing. And I'm so glad to see picture books on here, because that's what was excluded from the New York Times list last year. That I don't think we saw any children's literature, which was truly a shame, truly a miss on their part.
The Beasting by Paul Murray. I adore this book. It's so rare that you see an author just be able to encapture characters that are so different, even though they come from the same family. They're so different, and he's encaptured it so well, and there are so many little subplots in this book that just make you want to keep on reading. And I know some people hate the way that this book ended. I don't mind it, but I completely understand if you hate the way it ended. Just go into this being prepared to hate the ending.
This is one of those books that Scott and I completely agree on. The Beasting is a brilliant novel. It is set in modern day Ireland, and the financial crisis is happening there, which is very much affecting the business that this family is connected with, that they own and they run. And so we have the father Dickie and the mother Imelda, and then Cassie and I believe PJ are their children, and everyone is being affected in a very different way, and it's all connected to their background and the way their background is bringing them and affecting their present and past trauma. It's genius. And I agree. You kind of have to go in maybe knowing or realizing or understanding that you may hate the ending. I liked it. I quite liked it because it was a risk. And I don't know. I mean, it was a risk to me that made sense and paid off.
Station 11 by Emily St. John Mandel. It's this good little interesting science fiction novel. It's quite entertaining. Top 100 territory, I'm a bit surprised. But it does represent a certain style of book, and, I think that you can do a lot worse than pick up an Emily St. John Mandel book, whoever you are.
I read this after I had been meaning to read it for years. I read it this year, actually. I forgot it was this year, and I, enjoyed it. I don't know. There were some aspects that I enjoyed, and then there were some aspects I didn't enjoy. I think I enjoyed the journey more than the climax moment. But it says something when you don't get along with the climax, with the peak moment. You're like, oh, that was it? I've talked about this moment before, and I'm not the only one that feels this way. So I know I'm not alone in this opinion, but gosh, it just didn't do it for me.
Bel Canto by Anne Patchett. I just don't like this book.
I agree. Actually, we're agreeing more than I thought. Okay, Bel Canto. It's about a birthday party that is taken hostage, like the whole party is taken hostage. The people at the birthday party are taken hostage, and they're in that situation for a while. I don't know. I agree. The ending of the book was just terrible. Wow, we're talking a lot about endings here. I guess there's a lot of endings I either love or dislike. Learning something about myself right now.
Of Water by Adam Verghese. I'm surprised that this made the list. I'm just absolutely flabbergasted, to be honest.
Yeah, because it's not a good book. My sweet friend Anita said it perfectly. I felt like I was being held hostage in its pages. It is not good. It's like not a good book. I don't know. Okay, there were some storylines that were fine. There were some storylines that were good. But the bulk of it was just long and heavy-handed and very long, and it felt long. And I'm very surprised that it is on this list as well. This, I think, would be because of recency bias. Like, it was only published a few years ago, so I think people have it top of mind because it was published a few years ago. I would be shocked that if this same list came out, even interviewing the same people in 5 years from now, if this book was still on it.
Hammond, The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Night. This is an interesting book for how it has been received by different generations of people, from being this very positive, inclusive book to being a book that is the complete opposite of that in a lot of people's opinions. I do find it very hard to get into the debates about whether this book is problematic in its portrayal of people with autism, because it is not making sweeping statements about those people. It is making statements about the protagonist in the book. It is, I'm not sure you're meant to read a single character as a statement on all characters. But that doesn't mean I disagree with what people are saying. It just means that I see the argument as much more shades of grey than it is presented online as black and white.
The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Night. This was one of those books I've read probably more than 10 years ago, maybe 10 years ago. I've read it a long while ago, and I remember liking it at the time. It's just one of those books that I don't have a lot to say because I read it so long ago, and it's not one of those books that really stuck with me, where I very much remember all of the details, so it's hard to comment on.
James by Percival Everett. I mean, if you've not read James by Percival Everett yet, please just do it. Nobody thinks this is a bad book. Nobody thinks this is a bad book.
Yet again, Scott and I agree. In some instances, our agreements are very quiet. So I agree. There's hardly anybody, if anybody that I know of, that despised James. I don't know anybody that disliked James. There are critiques on James that I think are valid and thought-provoking. But the whole cultural moment surrounding James is interesting and thought-provoking. And I think that that's what makes it a fascinating read. One that I think would be very enjoyable for almost anybody. And if not enjoyable, then one that engages you and that gets you really, really kind of get your thoughts going, your juices going. So fascinating. But I'm noticing that Scott and I were very passionate in some ways, or at least I'm passionate about our disagreements. But very rarely am I like crazy passionate about the things that we agree on. Like, Scott saying that he dislikes Ann Patchett and that she doesn't do anything for him. I'm sort of like, okay. Like, all right. Like, I take personal offense to that. Yeah, so I don't know. It's kind of interesting where our disagreements lie and how I'm approaching our disagreements, which I think is kind of comical.
The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo by Stieg Larsson is just one of the best Nordic noir thrillers that you will ever read. It, for me, captures the way that genre fiction can be written to a more sophisticated level without deviating from what it really is.
Yes, actually, yes. Another agreement. I don't know about being one of the best Nordic noir books because I haven't read hardly any. I think I've just read the three books, the first three books in this series because the series goes on, and they're really good. They're really well done, and I think that's its best strength is that it's extremely well done.
As we're halfway through, The Lovely Bones by Alice Sebold. You know, when I look at this list, there are certain books I'm like, oh, I didn't realise that was technically the 21st century. And, you know, you want to go and you want to check the dates sometimes. Yeah, it turns out it's 2002. I sort of mentioned recency bias with what I perceive as a few of these. And then you have a book like this that is, you know, now over 20 years old. And it's still remembered for a reason. It's dark and it's told from the point of view of a ghost and it's about murdering children. And I definitely think that this is going to be one of those sort of classic books that people keep coming back to and keep reading. And if you haven't read it yet, put it on your TBR. You don't have to get to it straight away, but you do have to get to it at some point.
I actually am going to gently disagree on this. There is an incredibly brutal scene at the very beginning, which I think is one of the reasons why this book is remembered, because most people talk about the well, I guess Scott already said that it is about the murder of children or a child, and that particular moment is so it's so difficult and so sad that actually I would caution people to read it, because I don't know if you know that that's one of your things, which it is one of mine. I don't like child abuse written about in sort of sensory detail. No, thank you. Then you might want to skip this. So, but I do, and I think I don't know. Is it a great book? I don't. In my memory, though I read it a very long time ago, it's not. It's just memorable because the scene is so intense. That first scene. But I could be wrong on that, and I'm willing to say that.
Audrey Niffenegger, The Time Traveller's Wife. This is another book I'm surprised is on this list, but again, it's because of the publication date, 2003. You got those books around that area, and you know your memory is so fuzzy. They feel like they've been around for so much longer than they actually have. Audrey Niffenegger is an interesting author who... There's some things about this book and the romance in this book that can be interpreted in quite horrific ways, and I'm not quite sure what she was trying to do with them. I don't have an alternative interpretation for that, but also I think that it's very good at pulling on your emotional heartstrings and getting you to invest in these characters. But it's a love story about somebody who is unstuck in time and somebody who is stuck in time, and they see each other, and one of them is old and one of them is young and vice versa, and it maybe starts a little bit too young for one of them, in my opinion.
Those critiques are incredibly valid. I read this years ago and I was so swept away by it. I thought the characters were just incredible, and I can see Scott's critiques, and I can see where he's going with those critiques, and I don't disagree.
Frederick Backman, A Man Called Ove. You know, you're always surprised to see what books will make this list, and I know that this is a loved book, but again, I was a bit surprised to see it. Who doesn't love a cranky old man actually having a heart and finding its sort of narrative? It's a very easy to like story, isn't it?
Okay, I mean, I'm also surprised, Scott. This is the video in which I'm shocked that we actually agree more than we disagree. A Man Called Uwe. I thought it was a very sweet book. I can see why it's on the list. But I didn't love it. It's one of those, like, to me, it's a wisp of a book. It's a nothing book. It's a book you read and forget immediately. Although not forgetful for the people who put it on this list. I don't know. I get why people love it, but did it do it for me? No.
The Thursday Murder Club by Richard Osman. I DNF'd this book recently for talking in circles and letting humour get in the way of narrative, and I didn't find Richard Osman as funny as I find him on television.
Wow. Okay. I think this is a charming book. There's a part of me that would want to continue with the series, but there's too many books that are pulling at my attention and my desires that it's not one of those books. But yeah, it's not one of those book series that I'm just like rushing out and reading the next one. But I think it's so sweet. It's such a sweet book.
Never Let Me Go by Kazuo Ishiguro. I mean, how can you not include Kazuo Ishiguro, anything he published in the 21st century, really? Such an accomplished writer, so good at what he does. And I found this novel so simple yet complex in the way that he makes this story so straightforward, and he hints at everything else.
That's the one and only Kazuo Ishiguro I've read. I have no desire to read him again. That should speak volumes.
Pachinko by Min Jin Lee. I mean, if you like family sagas, this is the one, I guess. Not one of my favourite books. I think it goes on for a bit too long. And
agree, although I'm going to be harder. I can't stand Pachinko. I don't know. I think it's also because I met it at this moment where everybody loved it, and I was like, who is being critical of this book? I think everybody who was being critical was very quiet about it. It was just so predictable. The characters were so flat. It was so boring. It did nothing for me. It did nothing. I'm so glad it's over and I never have to read this book ever. I cannot stand it. And I'm like kind of in awe that it gets so much praise. I don't know.
Normal People by Sally Rooney. I mean, of course, you've got Normal People by Sally Rooney on this list. That's kind of obvious. Rooney divides readers. She always will. But I think you have to read Rooney, and then if you don't like her, you don't like her, and you don't read any more of her. But I think give her a try, because if you're one of the people who love her, she's just such an incredible author.
No, she's writing contemporary, coming of age, romance-esque stories that so many people are saying are so complex. This light is very aggressive right here. That people are saying are so complex, and I'm like, did we read the same book? I don't think so. At least we didn't read it in the same way.
The Goldfinch by Donna Tartt. Donna Tartt is a bit of an institution, but where is your fourth book, Donna? It's been 11 years. The 10-year cycle has been broken. I just think that this is a really, really cool story of a young man growing up and the impact certain events have on him, and it's a great discussion of depression and privilege and adoption and so on and so forth.
Did Scott recently get good taste? Because we agree on that too. I think The Goldfinch is a brilliant book. I will add though that there is also this discussion of possession and art at the heart of it as well, which I think is stunning and so thought-provoking. I mean, the character and one's internal morality is a huge theme in the book, but its discussion on art has my heart. I didn't mean to rhyme, just did. Okay, so sorry.
My Brilliant Friend by Elena Ferrante. Yeah, I mean, I don't think you can make a top 100 of the 21st century and not include Elena Ferrante in your list. I think that this is a really solid, brilliant novel.
Okay, I also really enjoy Elena Ferrante. I question my own actions, though. When I read Elena Ferrante, I read My Brilliant Friend, which is the first in her Neapolitan quartet, and then followed it up with The Story of a New Name. And I was so in love, and yet I still haven't finished the series. And so I don't know what that says, but I feel like it's saying a lot about my actual intake of the series, and I question it. I question it because I've tried to go back and start that third book, and yet I haven't yet. So maybe I didn't love it as much as I thought because my actions are speaking louder than my words.
The The Hunger Games by Susanna Collins. I mean, we all know what The Hunger Games is. It's been such an iconic book. And while there has been a few children's books on this list, they've been fairly underrepresented. And I think the thing about The Hunger Games that is so good is that it has broad appeal in that it is a good read for children, but that there's still quite a lot that adults can get out of it.
I don't like this book. I mean, it was entertaining when I read it, but I don't get the hype. I don't think it should be on this list. I think it's on this list because it was widely read, not because it's super good.
Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. I enjoyed the start of this book, but it really rapidly ran out of steam and I found myself not caring about it.
I will one-up you on that one, Scott. I despise this book. I did not like hardly any part of it and was miserable throughout.
Kayla Dasani, The Kite Runner, brutal, miserable, horrible books that are unforgettable and tense and heartbreaking.
3 words for you. Emotionally manipulative literature. Not a fan.
Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine by Gail Honeyman. I mean, I find it difficult not to love this book. Is it complex? Is it particularly amazing? I'm not sure, but I just absolutely adored Eleanor. I adored Ray and their friendship.
This to me was very overrated and completely underperformed.
Where the Crawdads Sing, Delia Owens. Yeah, absolutely shocked to see this so high on the list. It's a bit of a mystery thriller, but told in a completely different, very much not your traditional mystery thriller. And I think that is a cool, clever way of reinventing a genre and doing something a bit different with it. I didn't find this book particularly believable.
Where the Crawdads Sing was one of those books that, again, everybody was talking about, and it was so hyped. And I liked the nature writing in it. And actually, Delia Owens is writing about my geographical area. Almost exactly. Just a few miles away that I've spent a lot of time in. And so I thought that she captured sort of the mesmeric waterways that I am so close to very well. But the actual story was not great.
Is Small Things Like These by Claire Keegan. I think that this is Keegan's best. I know a lot of people say it's Foster. It's not. It's Small Things Like These. You're wrong. You're just wrong.
I liked Foster more than I liked Small Things Like These, and I find Small Things Like These utterly forgettable. What was it even about? I read it this year, and I'm like, I got nothing from it. I feel like that's sacrilege to say about Claire Keegan's work, but I'm like, what was it even doing? Nothing.
I have a confession. I've never read Wolf Hall. I have only ever read one Hilary Mantel book. It was about the French Revolution. It was bad. I accept that authors grow and change, and I accept that she is a loved author, but her books are so big, and I've already had one strike with her. I'm really struggling to take the chance and give her a second shot.
Wolf Hall is brilliant. Wolf Hall is brilliant, okay? It is a brilliant piece of literature. Whether you like it or not is a you thing, but it is a brilliant piece of literature.
And number 9 is A Little Life by Hanya Yangahara. I don't get it. I love miserable books. This is a bad one. If you want to feel misery, read Douglas Stewart. Read Thomas Hardy. I don't get the love for A Little Life. It lacks complexity and character development. It is the same thing on repeat for 40 years. And I super object to the demonstration of frustration in love by throwing razor blades at your spouse. It's really, I think, poorly written. But some people love it.
Wow, I did not know that we would disagree on A Little Life. I thought for sure we would agree. I love a little life. Is it miserable? Absolutely. But that's kind of the point. Wow. I am shocked right now. Moving on.
Demon Copperhead by Barbara Kingsolver. I have been criticised for DNFing this book until the cows come home. It's a retelling of David Copperfield, and I'm going to recommend this. Beat your head against a brick wall until you forget Demon Copperhead. Please don't actually be violent, especially to your head. That's a bad idea. But, like, you need to erase David Copperfield from your brain before you read this book, because it changes the book from predictable to tense. And I think that is the difference between this being a good and a bad read. Although, if you're a super fan of Charles Dickens, you're probably like, nah, I love this anyway. So I respect that.
Valid critique, and I can't really say much because I didn't read David Copperfield when I read Demon Copperhead. So it was a tense read for me, and it was a good and emotional read for me. So that's, food for thought. I'll have to ponder on that.
Burial Rites by Hannah Kent. Not surprised to see this in the top 100. Surprised to see this in the top 10. I think this is a very interesting book. We've got queerness, we've got ghosts, we've got coming to Australia and settling in it. It sort of does this lovely thing where you're not sure whether you're reading commercial fiction or literary fiction, but you're kind of reading both. Is this a coming of age? Is this a romance? Is this a family saga? Is this a colonialism novel? What is actually going on here? It's all of those things, which gives the book a little bit of complexity to it. I mean, it's quite an enjoyable, good read. A top 10 should be for special books, and it's just a really good book.
It is a really good book. It's a really good book. It is dark and very atmospheric. And I don't know, I guess I didn't see as much complexity as Scott saw. I thought it was a little more straightforward. It's a woman who's being convicted of murder, and she's waiting out her death sentence. And as she's doing so, she's replaying how she got there in the first place. And the whole setting is extremely moody and very dark, very much like mimicking what's inside of this woman's head. Not that she's not that she's dark, but that she's going through this dark night of the soul trying circumstance. And I found it very satisfying. I'm kind of pleased that it made the top 10.
Narrated by Death and a little girl, and it's moving. You know, it's one of the best young adult books you will read. You know, I think that the reason this gets criticised is that people judge it based on the book that they want it to be, not on who the intended audience is. You know, it's a book written for teenagers, and I think that it does that very well. It's a book that I think it's so well written that as adults we can get some pleasure out of it, and then we can be annoyed that it doesn't do more.
I really liked The Book Thief. I thought it was smart and well written, and I was very pleased actually to see this book so high up, in the first place. And it's a World War II book that has a nice twist, a satisfying twist in the way that it's written, in the way that it's approaches. I think this is a great book. I don't know. I think Scott's being too hard on it, to be honest with you. But, that's, as we've come to see, we tend to quite disagree. Or maybe we came together on more books than we thought. Okay, well, that is it. That was the end. If you want to know the number one book, you have to go to his video and watch all of his critiques. He talks about omissions that he wished were there. Of course, but I'm not an Aussie, so I think that he's talking about omissions that he wished were there that, it's coming from, like, his home country and his perspective. For me, I'm just like, I'm an American gal critiquing on an Aussie who's critiquing an Aussie list. Oh my gosh. Well, that's it. What did you think? What did you think of this video? I would love to hear from you. And frenemies we continue on to be. Okay. Oh, well, Yeah, that's it for me. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for being here. I'm so glad that you spent this time with me, and I hope it was entertaining, and I hope to see you all in the next one. Bye.